Welcome back, my volcanic, voluptuous comrades, to our volcano base, soon to be a volcano city suspended completely over a lake of lava. We've been researching into biofuel refining, that way we don't have to purchase fuel anymore and we'll be able to make our own, and as soon as we begin today, we have completed said research. Now that we have that useful knowledge under our belts, we're going to start working on microelectronics. The reason for doing this so early on is because we want the high-tech research table, which is going to give us a bit of a boost when researching technologies, of course, and we have quite a few to research, to say the least. This research, of course, is going to take quite some time since we're barely researching at our little wooden table. So, in the meantime, we're also going to be working on something else that takes quite a long time, which is expanding out our city here over top the lava lake. A very tedious task that will go a hell of a lot faster once we have some extra helping hands, which hopefully we end up getting this episode. Speak of the devil, some pig pirates. I'm sure some of them wouldn't mind lending a helping hand after we almost kill them, that is. Dirty, filthy pig skins, they're a bit too tough in the old noodle. You gotta bash it in a few times before you can convince them that you're gonna kill them if they don't join you. They were much better equipped than we had anticipated, so we would have Tail use the ship to try to put something of a blockage and or wall between us and the remainder of their squad as we tried to pick them off one by one. This was somewhat working, but it didn't help matters that Elijah was the only one of us with a ranged weapon that wasn't Tox grenades. Although these grenades would help us out pretty sufficiently with taking down the remainder of the pigskin pirates, the only issue was that Toon had passed out as well. With a few well-placed pieces of lead, though, we finished off the last pirate. Well, the last one, that is, that wasn't incapacitated or just a complete coward like this fellow here who decided to flee. We would quickly rush to Toon's aid, putting our hand over his mouth, that way he wasn't dying from the tox inhalation, and eventually it dissipated. We almost suffocated him, but he's a-okay, and we started tending to his wounds. And I'm also quite thankful that Tail and her and Elijah's unborn baby child in her tum-tum is also safe and sound. Now that we know our people are safe and sound, let's take a look at what we've accomplished here. We've defeated a raid of pigskins, taking a very nice automatic weapon from them, and we've also managed to take one of them as our prisoner. We'll immediately begin attempting to convince him to join us, of course. And, hopefully it doesn't take too long. In the meantime, we're also getting a very bountiful harvest from our fields, getting potatoes, pumpkins, rice, heel root, and also plenty of cloth. Now, the cloth is going to be something we use on a little project today, but we'll wait around until we get to that. Besides, we have something much more important to deal with right now. Tail is going into labor. We all very quickly rushed her to her bed, and actually, it wasn't a very strenuous labor at all. The baby came out very quickly and very easily. I was actually kind of surprised and quite perturbed by this, but nonetheless, I'm happy for her, and I'm happy for Elijah and the little baby as well. Congratulations, you three. Now then, we need a proper name for this little fellow. Perhaps the Duke of Lava, the King of Volcanoes. No, I'm not very good at this. I'll let you folks in the comment section down below pick out a name. I would very much appreciate it. And for now, we'll just call him Baby. Such a shame. The Duke of Lava has such a nice ring to it. It really rolls off the tongue in conversation. Alas. Anyhow, though, as Mama and Baby are resting up, for the most part, I actually see them working on this new warehouse here out on the lava lake. I suppose they're taking turns. One will watch the child and what comes out. Anyhow, though, we're building a brand new warehouse here on the Lake of Fire. Basically, this is just going to be the slow process of moving all of our base components that we had on the inside of the mountain over to the lake, as I think the mountain is going to be converted into into a gigantic prison at some point. Or perhaps a great big hotel. I suppose we'll have to wait and see. In the meantime, though, we've finally ended up recruiting P-Woo-Org, the pigskin, who just a couple of days ago was trying to murder us, or several days ago, I suppose. Either way, it would seem he's had a change of heart. He has a pretty decent construction skill, but mostly his shooting skill is out of this world, the best out of all of our people now, so we decided to let him keep his automatic rifle that he was trying to slaughter us with previously, as he's going to be the best using it. Besides, he's already pretty well acquainted with it, seeing how he has his name carved into it, and he's probably killed a lot of innocent people with it. I gotta tell you though, with that shooting skill of his, I feel quite a bit safer having him toting around that rifle, and also, of course, he came in very clutch, helping us haul all the things from our old storage area under the mountain to our new one on the lake. And since he has a pretty decent construction skill, he and Elijah would be much faster at helping us expand our steel bridging over top the lava lake as well, expanding our future city furthermore. As they were doing this, we finally finished our research into microelectronics, now allowing us to create a high-tech research bench researching research much faster, and so we wasted no time building one. Now that we got this bad mamma jamma built, it's time for us to start on our next research project, which is going to be space-based furniture. Now, last episode, the first episode, I mentioned how I really thought that this stuff was going to work out perfectly, not only for our buildings themselves with space-based walls, but also with all the furniture that comes along with this research. There's different types of beds and bookshelves and decor and things like that that are going to be great for furnishing the entire city. You don't furnish a lava lake volcano city with steel beds and walls or wood. I mean, that's what we're doing right now, but after we get that research completed, it will be a thing of the past. We are going to have a beautiful, technologically sufficient and advanced city here. One that not only our current populace will be tickled to live in, but will have people clamoring at the doors, trying to get into the city to live here, to work for us, and to populate it. That's the idea, at least. By this point, we've had the Grav engine quest for quite some time. Now, I won't be focusing on the Grav ship in this series, since I already done a series focusing on that, and this series is just going to be the Volcano City. However, accepting the engine quest can unlock many other types of quests for us where we can get better types of loot and weapons and items, so that would be the reason that I accepted, and we now have a Grav engine. We may end up building one later on to use for weapons or something like that during raids, or I don't know just yet, but I really, again, don't plan on focusing too much on the Grav ship. We'll probably stick with our Sticky Willy ship, and maybe we'll use this one as something like a main flagship. I don't know. What I do know is while we're deciding what we want to do with the engine, until we decide, we're going to be storing it in the warehouse. Thanks to getting the engine, though, we instantly got a related quest, but again, for now, we're not really interested in all that, especially not the mech relay one, but maybe the ones where we end up going into city bunkers and getting useful medicine and items and weapons and blah, 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 blah. For right now, though, we do have a quest of a prisoner being held hostage by Itacan pirates, and I think we would like to have some helping hands and also to slaughter a few of these Itacan pirates, so this is the one that we're going to be tackling, sending out a small caravan, not to give away our position by using our Sticky Willy ship. We don't want to give away the element of surprise if we can help it. We don't even know how many pirates were there. However, that being said, upon our arrival, it appears that there is only one Itacan pirate with 2 boghound companions. I think we should be able to handle this rather easily, but we'll have to watch out for the bites of those puppers. Elijah and our pig pal would attempt to sneak up quietly, but we were spotted by one of the hounds and instantly had to engage. Thankfully, we managed to fill the last one full of lead just before it could get a nibble on Elijah. Now we would engage in a firefight with his furry warden of this makeshift prison, and he would prove to be inadequate at firefights. Once we cleared out the building, made sure the coast was clear, here, we offered the prisoner help going by the name of Rawhide, something like that. But this hairy boy has offered to join us, and so of course we have accepted. Welcome aboard, little fella. Though on the journey back home we explained that we live over top a volcano, as one might imagine, he was a little bit concerned, not only because, well, dangerous, of course, but also he's quite furry, so I don't know exactly how it's going to work with him being overheated all the time. I don't know. But after we arrived, he seemed pretty happy to have a place of his own, finally. Once we finally had him back home, too, he could do some tasks that normally Elijah and the others would have to do, like hauling and things of that nature, that now they don't have to, and they can actually solely focus on construction and expanding the city furthermore. We're building 2 brand new platforms here that are connected to our other 2 residential ones. As we were doing so, we had a couple of things happen, some pretty big things. First and foremost, we finished up our research into space-based furniture that we needed, of course. Most importantly, Val, our friendo who fell from the transport pod last episode with the sleep the sleep disease, has finally awoken. He too had some concerns about the base here, but we eased his mind, and he woke up just in time to witness the marriage between Elijah and Tell. Perhaps they were waiting on him. Their marriage ceremony taking place next to a romantic landscape of bubbling magma. Their vows involving the magma, something about their love for each other is hotter than the volcano. Oh, alright you two, it's a family show. Now, after celebrating this beautiful unifying bond between our 2 leaders, of course, and this new research that we've recently acquired, we started working on fixing up everyone's rooms, making them absolutely beautiful. Genuinely, I love the way that this furniture looks, and I think it is very fitting. I think we'll end up growing some dye at some point, because things are a little bit too gray in some spots, but the bookshelves and the shelves just with some artifacts and decorations and stuff look absolutely amazing, and I think that everyone really enjoys them, and I also think they really enjoy the more comfortable aspects as well, such as the windows that we're installing on everyone's home and room that are going to allow a line of sight out into our beautiful cityscape, as well as the burning pool below. We've also added in some new doors that don't really have a speed penalty compared to the previous steel doors. Now, we used the half doors before, but they just didn't look right, even though they also didn't have a speed penalty, blah 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 blah. Anyways, I like these better, okay? And finally, right in the middle of these 4 platforms that we've created, we are also going to be building a nice little home, a spherical home for Elijah, Tell, and their unnamed baby, known currently as Baby. Consider it something as a wedding gift, I suppose. It was also a fun way for us to test out these modular homes as prototypes before we start building them all around the damn city. And I gotta say that I like them. They're also very airtight and heat resistant, meaning that there's a comfortable temperature on the inside now without having to use any type of air conditioning. We've been having some issues lately with raids and manhunter packs and other threats to the colony, so I thought it'd be a good idea to start researching going towards gun turrets. It is going to take us a little bit of time to get there, but with our high-tech research bench, I don't think it'll take near as long as we anticipate. While we're making our way up the research tree, we're also going to be working on a greenhouse and/or hydroponics building. I don't want to call it hydroponics because we still don't have that research under our belt, so we're basically just using some planter boxes, and i.e. a greenhouse, in my opinion. For whatever reason, even though we're growing plenty of food, I still run into this issue where we don't have enough for winter. I suppose maybe fall and winter just come so early in this biome, in this part of the planet, so I think this is really going to help us out. Now that we have a lot more surface area, we would also start moving all of our solar panels into the city itself with all the buildings that they're going to be generating power for. It just makes sense. And before I forget, we also built some very large windows onto the greenhouse because, well, for one, I thought thought that they looked really nice and show how fertile the greenhouse is, but for 2, they'll also let in additional sunlight, helping with the growing process for all our crops and all other vegetation. By this point, we finished up our research into machining, allowing us to go about creating our own machining table, and while we were creating some helmets there, we were also refining a bit of chem fuel for the shuttle, as I hope to go on a trade mission very soon. It wouldn't take long at all for Tail to finish up all those steel helmets though, giving every single one of our occupants in the city a nice brain bucket to protect their little noodles. As the city continues to grow and our wealth along with it, along with our reputation as well, attacks are only going to continue getting worse and worse, so some proper protection is vital. But I must say, even with all the progress that we've made today, it feels like we still have so much to do, and I suppose that's because we truly do have a lot more to do. But I am pleased with the progress so far, as the city is coming along very nicely. After quite a while, we finally got up to the point where it was time for us to research those gun turrets. It was just a shame we didn't finish them in time before this large man-hunting pack of, guinea pigs, I think, is coming to try to eat us. As their small, stubby little legs were trotting through the snow, we began throwing Molotovs at them and also firing our weapons at them, trying to lead them back towards our defenses where all of our spike traps were. That way our traps could do the heavy lifting for us. They were rather persistent little boogers though, as they would not stop for anything. I suppose it has something to do with their flesh-eating disease that caused them to hunt humans in the first place, but eventually, after a wave of bullets and fire washed over them, the battle was over. The guinea pigs were dead. Even better for us though, it looks like we have some more meat for the stew pot. Even though they're quite tiny, we'll just cut out the scaria infection from a lot of them. It'll be fine. It'll taste fine. We would end up finishing our research into gun turrets, but we wouldn't get any built before we had a group of shamblers approaching the area. I really didn't want them hunting down any of our people throughout the lava city because we have very narrow pathways, so we started hunting them down preemptively, you could say. To be honest with you, I'd kinda completely forgot I even had Anomaly on during this playthrough. We ended up getting a shard. We'll probably just sell it. Not really much going on there. Now that we've gotten rid of our threats that were going to kill us though, it's time for us to work on more research after gun turrets, which is going to be geothermal power. This one will take quite a while, but in the end we'll end up unlocking a lava power generator. Exactly what we need to fill up our batteries without having to worry about eclipses. While we're working on that research though, we're also going to be working on yet another structure on our 4th and final platform, for the time being that is. This is going to be a diner that will service the entirety of the occupants of the city. Not only does it look a lot better, but it's also much larger, being able to accommodate many more people who are going to live here eventually as well. This will ensure that nobody has a mood debuff from not eating at a table, and will ensure that everyone has a mood buff from having such a beautiful and wealthy dining room, which is very important. As for our old dining room and kitchen, we completely shoved that shit off into the magma to watch it burn. Once we were done enjoying that little sight, we started turning it into a proper recreation area just for now. Eventually, I want a much larger one of these, more centralized to the city, but this'll do. For the moment, that is. As we were enjoying some roulette and darts, though, we have a serious threat. We're being attacked by Mechonoids. And as they were landing, I realized that my dumbass had still yet to build any gun turrets because I've just been having so much fun building the city. Oopsie daisy. It does seem like they were going to plan for a bit before attacking, so we rushed Elijah into the warehouse to go about making an EMP launcher. That way we would have an upper hand against them, but as you could probably guess, we didn't get this done fast enough. Near fast enough. By this point, the Mechonoids were already on their way. We had no other option but to rush to fight them. Letting them come into the city to us might be a good idea, but it could cause a lot of unwanted and unnecessary damage. Instead, we would take cover by some rock formations and rock chunks near a little lava pool. Hopefully, we can cause them to go into it. We do have a little bit of a trick up our sleeve, I suppose. Thanks to our furry friend's animalistic nature, we can do an animal war call, calling on nearby critters to aid us in this fight. The only thing that was near us was a boomalope. He would answer our call for aid. His explosive death would be mighty handy. Also, again, he was the only thing near us, so he would mostly just be a great distraction. That's right. Yeah, that's it, little fella. Get his ass. Oh, shit. Well, that's an absolute shame. His sacrifice will not be forgotten, whatever his name was. Thanks to that explosion rocking the shocks of this Lancer, though, it wouldn't take us very long at all to finish him off and the rest of the Mechonoids for good. For now, that is. Also, I should mention, I'm sure many of you noticed, but we were using Molotov cocktails during that fight, which is horribly ineffective against Mechonoids, but the unfortunate part about it is that's the only other weapon that I had to use against them unless we threw tox grenades, which is completely ineffective. It was pretty clear to me that we need to attempt to either make or purchase some more weapons for ourselves. After the battle, though, we ended up finishing our research into geothermal power, but the catch here was we couldn't actually go about creating our lava generators for power as we needed plasteel. So let me get this straight. We need weapons and we also need plasteel. The only logical solution here was to load up the old sticky willy full of all sorts of different things like gold and silver and anything else we could really sell, and to head out to the Outlanders, who just so happen to have plenty of plasteel, exactly what we needed, as well as, well, not so many weapons, but they did have a minigun, so better than nothing. They also had a prisoner going by the name of BW, someone who appears to be the same species as Toon. We could purchase their freedom, and so we did. Upon their arrival back home, Val would start helping him get introduced to everyone all around the city. Yes, I know, it's scary. That's what everyone says, for God's sake. You're lucky that we don't send your ass back to that prison, buddy. But our new friend BW is going to be completely useless to us if he ends up dying of frostbite, so we would have him make himself some proper clothing, whatever you like to wear. The textiles, basically just cloth, are yours to use, my friend. By the end of it, he came out with a pretty little jumpsuit, a nice shawl over his shoulders, and a toque to match. Looking good, compadre. We also ended up giving our furry friendo the minigun, and though of course it's not all that accurate, it will be able to easily lay down some cover fire for the rest of us, while maybe possibly getting a few good hits in. And best of all, we no longer have to use Molotovs against Mechonoids. And finally, last but not least, now that we have all that plasteel that we needed, we could start building our very first lava generators, creating a shit ton of power. We ended up building 2 of them, one on each side of the platforms here, and when I say that they make a shit ton of power, I genuinely mean it. As you can see, one lava generator generates about 400 more watts than a geothermal generator. We built 2 of them, i.e. that means we have 8,000 extra watts of power. Pretty incredible. Now that we have plenty of power, one might even say an overabundance of power, we're going to start working on more defenses that will now properly include plenty of gun turrets, meaning that Mechonoids or pirates or whoever comes to try to sack this volcanic city will fail. By this point as well, our young baby Mock was finally all grown up. Well, not exactly, but he was able to walk around now, a 3-year-old toddler. For some odd reason, he seems to have a neon green hair. I think this might be genetic. Otherwise, he's probably going through a phase pretty early in life. Either way, it's good to see him utilizing his sea legs out here on the volcanic lake. And now that he's walking around, he can also help us out with hauling and cleaning. We just have to be very careful and make sure he doesn't tip over the side of our platform straight into the magma. Anyhow, though, we would end up building a new area with his help as well. This is actually going to be our very first rentable rooms. Now, we have some different prices here depending on how well I thought that the bedrooms would do for a night or two when people are renting them. I assume it's most likely going to be scientists and whatnot who are renting out these rooms in the very beginning before we get something going like a casino or something like that. So, you know, I didn't want to make things too expensive on some folks who are coming out here to study volcanic and seismic activity. This new little section of the city is going to be referred to as the Hot Pocket. Pocket Motel. A great suggestion from our good friend Deathwig1. I like the idea of calling these sections Hot Pocket and things like that too, referring to certain corridors and areas of the city. A really cool idea. And also, of course, because Hot Pockets. And as I always like to do, especially in the cities that we end up building, I've been using the props mod to go about making the place look a bit more industrial. We're on top of a literal magma lake at the moment. Things are burning, there's a lot of ash, and shit is gonna get dirty, right? We're not gonna be cleaning all the time, because that's all we'd be doing if that is what we were doing all the time. Cleaning, I mean to say. So anyhow, I think that this gives it a much more industrial, dirty, and gritty look, and I really like that for the city. I think it helps tie everything together. You've probably also noticed that I've used a lot of chain link fence as well as space-based walls to kind of give all of our platforms an outline. It only makes sense that we would do that so that literally nobody falls off into the burning lake below, of course. And I also think that this really helps tie it all together as well. And the best part about it is using these walls and this fencing actually prevents any fires from happening, as the walls and the fencing have no flammability, so it's perfect. But a great up-and-coming city like this deserves a great name, as do we. Starting off for our faction, we're going to be calling ourselves the Volcanic Collective. And as for our great city, we are going to be calling it the Devil's Furnace, a name that will surely put the fear of, well, the devil I suppose in this case, into our enemies, and also maybe give some tourists an interesting destination name. These wonderful name ideas are provided to us by our friends, the Watchful Scribe and Dontaran Vio Serlin 3745, I believe. I apologize, I've definitely butchered your username, but I want to thank you both for providing such wonderful name suggestions. I love them, and thank you to everyone who provided name suggestions as well. The city is really moving forward, and as are our people. Our population continues to grow, our technological knowledge continues to grow, and we continue moving forward. Until next time, friends. Hello, I want to thank you all ever so much for watching today's episode, and thank you to everyone for all the suggestions. Remember, we do have young baby Mock, who still needs a proper name, so don't be shy to leave those in the comment section, as well as any other suggestions you guys would like, mods for this series, how you'd like to see the city take form, what you'd like to see us doing throughout the series. Just be sure to make your voice heard down in that comment section, but I love you guys, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.